Welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. And now, if you are having Monday morning blues, which I think my conference call line is having, welcome to my life. My guest is getting all confused because it's Monday morning, and if you hear dogs in the background, that's not on my end, that's on my guest's end, so just ignore the background noise and try to ignore the Monday morning blues. But by the time you hear this, it will be Tuesday, although if I have time today, it will definitely come out as a special episode on Monday. And so without further ado, I'm calling Miss Virginia Sampson. Take it away.
Well, I wanted to tell Wynn thank you for inviting me on the show. I loved her book, and I love her message. It's kind of similar. It's very similar to mine. My message is about compassion, and I'm trying to inspire people to live life more compassionately and to make our world a more compassionate place. And that certainly fits with Wynn's message.
Isn't that wonderful? So my first question to you, Virginia, is were you in corporate America before you started all this compassion message business?
Was I what, Wynn? I'm sorry.
In corporate America.
I've been an attorney, so I was a litigation attorney. So I guess that somewhat qualifies as corporate America.
Yes, that does. Yes, that does. So you're a recovering attorney, basically. And
yes.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of those. And what made you start the recovery process into spreading your message of kindness?
Well, actually, my message was precipitated more by my personal experience with my husband. My husband was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease when our youngest was just 2 weeks old. And so we cared for him at home for 3 years. I had four children at the time, 3 teenagers and the baby. And it was more grew out of that experience than my attorney experience. It made it very difficult to go back to practicing law, litigation after that experience, but I actually help seniors now because that's more of a compassion business, and I love that. But that's kind of the catalyst for it.
Okay, so Lou Gehrig's disease came into your life, and then you had that stop and smell the roses moment, so to speak, and then it turned into let's spread the message of compassion.
Yes, my experience is there.
Okay,
yes.
I see where this is going. So, what is your biggest entrepreneurial success in all this?
My biggest success in all this?
Yes.
I think just the personal transformation and the transformation I see in my life when I live compassionately. It is magical, and it makes life so much more meaningful, so much more fulfilling, and I think that's the biggest success.
Yep. Well, I don't know of which books you read of mine, but you know my 2 stop and smell the roses moments. You must by now. And so that's why I turned my business into what I'm doing now, because I feel like we should all have the stop and smell the roses moments and then transform our lives after that.
Yes, well, I read your I Win book, and I mean, a lot of what you say in there is what I think that's what compassion does, is it asks people to see other people for who they are without judging them, to be patient and kind, whatever their situation is. Like my sister has rheumatoid arthritis, and I've been with her where people are just ready to knock her over because it takes her longer to do something. I think that whole message is, I don't know why we're always in such a rush. I mean, we're only going to get there maybe 30 seconds sooner, but just the whole idea of interacting with people, caring about them, not judging, seeing them, not seeing just their physical body, but connecting with them on a deeper level is a lot of what compassion is. It is seeing that somebody needs help or is suffering, and then you want to help them. And suffering is not, pain or anything. Just that somebody needs some help, and you want to assist them.
Yes. And so if you had to be educated by anyone inside or outside your field, or inside or outside your previous field, who would it be and why?
Well, one of my biggest inspirations is St. Francis of Assisi, who lived such a compassionate life. He would be somebody that I would love to spend time with and learn from. I don't know that I think it's more of a lifestyle than telling you. I mean, I think that's the part about compassion is it's something that you have to live and practice before you. People can tell you and tell you and tell you, but until you actually start doing it and seeing the results of it and living it, it's hard to intellectualize where your life will go if you start living it compassionately, I guess is what I'm saying. But he's somebody that I would definitely love to spend time with.
Francis of Assisi, man, that's the first time someone has mentioned a saint on my podcast. Okay, well that's the first time for everything on a Monday morning. That's screwing everyone up. And so, what is your favorite book that you can recommend to all my listeners?
Oh my gosh, there's so many good books on this subject, but the one that I'm actually, it's kind of sometimes the one I'm reading at the time, because I've read so many of them, but there's one that I think is really good because it talks to you about partly the benefits of compassion and how to become more compassionate. It's called Mindful Compassion by Paul Gilbert, Ph.D., and Choden, Choden. And Paul Gilbert is one of the foremost authorities and earliest proponents of the benefits of compassion, and he talks about it in terms of your personal life, and also he does some compassionate therapy with it. So I think that would be probably for just readers in general that are interested in the subject. I'm only about halfway through it, but it's been a very fascinating book.
And if you don't mind me asking a personal detail here, I know Lou Gehrig's disease could take you down. NCP could take you down. Cerebral palsy could take you down if you're not careful. But you said you took care of your husband for 3 years with the disease, and I'm presuming that Lou Gehrig's disease took your husband away from you. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. He lived about 3 years from the date of diagnosis, which is about the average time.
So I did not know that. I know little to nothing about Lou Gehrig's disease, and I am so sorry. And my second stuff and smell of the nose this moment, I should probably learn more about meningitis than I know, but I lost my mom to meningitis. The brain aneurysm that she went into the hospital with didn't kill her. She was fully functioning after they clotted the brain aneurysm. The meningitis took it out. So now I need to do more research on not only Lou Gehrig's disease, but meningitis as well, because meningitis, like Lou Gehrig's disease, can take you down mightily quick.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was so sorry to read about your mom in your book. That's, wow, what an amazing woman.
Well, yeah, and she she doesn't know it, but she said you can write the book, and she basically inspired me to do this podcast because after the book came the podcast.
Well, you're pretty amazing yourself, I must say. I think she would be very proud of you.
Well, thank you for that. And so, what has been your biggest entrepreneurial failure or learning lesson, I should say?
Gosh, it's funny. You may have gone through this. I think when you write a book and want to talk to people about compassion, right? And my book is Compassion Magic, so it's got it in the title. I think I was shocked that people weren't more excited about the subject. I guess when we're excited about the subject, we presume everyone else will be. So
Yes.
I guess I thought it was going to be a lot easier to get people to be excited about the message than it was. It's actually, as you know, it's actually a very difficult business to, even spread a good message like that. And that was my hardest lesson. I was pretty shocked by that.
So, did you write a book on compassion? I'm presuming that you did.
Yes, I wrote a book called Compassion Magic, and I've written a children's book too about compassion. It's a series, and it's pretty similar to yours. It's the story of my journey to discover the magic of compassion in my life, and part of it, what I wanted to do is inspire other people to find the magic of compassion in their own lives and to share their stories with other people. So I tell my story with all of my failings, and there are many of them, because I think we're so obsessed a bit in this country with an image of perfection and success that we don't want to show our vulnerabilities. And I think if you show your vulnerabilities, people are more likely to show their vulnerabilities and share their story. And I think that's how in fact, in my opinion, that's how we connect. We share ourselves with people with all of our faults.
Well, I'm excited to tell you guys that I'm actually writing a book on scoliosis and my journey with scoliosis, because unlike CP, scoliosis is very, very common, and it's going to be called A Heart That Writes Scoliosis, writes as in the book, you guys. And it may be published by a publisher. I'm talking to a publisher today, and we'll see what results in that. Either way, this book will get published. And so I'm now ready to talk about my full-on scoliosis journey and my tips on how to deal with it. And it's going to be autobiography again. And the reason why I say that again is number 1 autobiography turned into number 2, turned into number 3, turned into number 4, and now turned into number 5. So
congratulations.
I never thought I would be, thank you. I never thought I would be writing 5 autobiographies in my life / the rest of my work, but that's okay. And so I am ready to talk about my full-on journey with scoliosis. At the time when I wrote, when I wasn't quite ready to talk about my full-on journey with scoliosis, you guys, because I wrote I Win in a fog, and people ask me, why did you write I Win after their mom died? And I'm like, I had to get this story out, and looking back on it, I wish I gave myself another year, but oh well. People like my story anyway. And so
I think it's excellent, and it's very inspiring, and I think that's my take on it, is you are inspiring people who are disabled to live full lives, and also asking people when they meet somebody that's disabled, and I don't even like that word, but to see them as a whole person, to see them and to see who they are and their dreams and their hopes and their, who they are.
Yes, exactly. And so that being said, Virginia, where can the people find your book And yes, you should go buy Compassion Magic for the holidays, and you should go buy I Come a Win. But you did a nice ad for I Come a Win for the holidays too. But let's focus on Compassion Magic here. Where can people find Compassion Magic? And is it on Kindle? And will it be on audio tape, or is it strictly on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It is in Kindle. It probably will come out in audio. We haven't done that yet. But I do also should say I do like to come speak to groups about compassion. I have workshops about developing compassion. I think it's all about connections. Compassion helps us create and form meaningful connections, which is one of our most important desires. And I should tell your audience it's great for your health and well-being. Believe it or not, it enhances. They have a whole body of researchers at Berkeley, Stanford, everywhere that's researching the effects of compassion. And we have biological changes in our body that occur when we act compassionately. So I would tell everyone, please, start small. Do something kind. Say hello to someone. Ask how they are and listen to the answer. It doesn't have to be anything huge, and it's contagious. You will start to feel the effects, and it will be good for you, your health and well-being, and it will be good for the world. Saying that, I do have a website, CompassionMagic.com. That'll direct you to my Facebook, my Twitter account. I'm starting a blog on there, and it also directs you to Amazon where you can purchase the books.
Well, since we talked about compassion, I am actually going to be more compassionate today and more thoughtful in my words and what I say to people, because I have just gotten over a mini flu that struck me this weekend. Thank heavens I'm over it, but the mini flu is no fun for a person with a physical disability on top of it. And I already had the flu shot. So I'm like, oh, great. So this is a mini flu, so I'm very compassionate that I'm over the mini flu and can function today. But with that being said, I know you read I Come a Win, and I know which all my guests should do. So all my upcoming guests should at least pick up a copy of I Come a Win so they know what this podcast is based off of. And I know you have a couple questions for me, so go ahead and ask those questions.
Well, I know from reading the book that what was your inspiration to help other people, especially those with disabilities, to live fuller lives as you are doing?
Okay, I was lucky enough to go to a private school all my life, and then I was lucky enough to get hired by that private school where I'm still teaching one day a week. And so I was lucky enough to have the private school experience, and I was lucky enough to have the family that had the finances to provide the one-on-one aid and all that good stuff. We made our money, and this is public knowledge, we actually made our money off of Caterpillar tractors. And yes, Caterpillar tractors is still in existence, but we sold that company in 1995, and we are now investing in other stuff, but that was our main resource in making money is the Caterpillar tractor franchises both in Canada and the Bahamas. And that's one of the things I do mention in I Come a Win. So my answer to you, Virginia, is I was given the blessing by my mom, who was in a mentally induced coma at the time. I said, can I write this book? She goes, yes, as long as you do it gracefully, meaning don't spill too many family secrets. I mean, you can tell people where we made our money, but don't go into too many family secrets. So I came up with the concept of I win on August 11th in a taxi cab, actually, and driving back to the hotel. And then my mom actually passed away on August 12th at 5:45 a.m. And I was woken up by her spirit leaving her body. And I don't mention that in the book. This is the first time I mention that. And I was woken up at 6 a.m. by her spirit leaving her body. And she goes, well, now it's time to write I Come a Win. And she also said it's something to the effect, it's now time for you to be a journalist. And now I'm going back to school for journalism. And this is the first time I've ever admitted this on the podcast. You guys don't know that my mom gave me the blessing to be a journalist either. So my mom really inspired me to write the book. Then I lost my mom's mom close to Mother's Day, 4 years after my mom. So, yeah, my mom passed away first before her mom did. And her mom, I'm actually named after her mom.
I saw that in the book. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Win is my legal name, by the way. W-I-N is my legal name, by the way. And a lot of people think that's awesome. That Win is my legal name.
And so what is your goal? Your future goal?
My goal.
You've done amazing things already. What's the next step for you?
My goal is to make it to the New York Times. New York Times bestseller list as an independent published author, and that would just be breaking barriers, with breaking barriers wide open, shattering glass doors, not only as an independent published author, but as a real authority on CP. So my next, and I know it's a little audacious, but I keep writing books and writing books. Hopefully one of my books would make it to the New York Times.
Well, dream big. I'm all for dreaming big. It'll happen. I do believe that. So I wish you so much success. I love what you're doing. And I love that it's all about compassion, too, for yourself and for other people and trying to make the world a better place. I think we need more of that, and more people devoted to that.
We do. And, Virginia, what would be a closing statement on this podcast interview this morning?
Oh, well, I would love it if people, like I said, would just practice little acts of kindness today. I kind of put on my compassion hat when I go out because we all get so busy and distracted and, let's face it, self-absorbed these days, that as I leave the house, I literally think of a cap of compassion going on my head so that when I go out, that will be my first response to people, will be to act compassionately and kindly. Because compassion leads to gratitude, it leads to forgiveness. We didn't get into all of that, but it's just huge, the transformative effect on your life. I would love if people want to contact me and share their stories with me. That's why I love speaking. I love when people book me to speak because I get to connect with people. I get to hear their stories. So if they want to connect with me, tell me their story, I would love to hear from people. I love to hear people's stories and share mine with them and theirs with me.
Well, let's just have compassion to one another this holiday season, and let's and 2017 strong. I know that 2017 was a little bit of a rough year for all of us. We won't get into that political jazz, and yeah, it's been a rough year for all of us, including myself. And so hopefully 2018 will be just a little less shocking to this whole planet, because right now we're still in a little state of shock politically, and yeah. And so I hope that this episode teaches you guys how to be compassionate. And I have some really exciting news. I'm actually working on another children's book. This one is inspired by my dad, actually. My dad is not a writer by any means, but he gave me this idea. So to turn this idea into a children's book, so I'll be revealing more of that in the weeks to come, and figure that one out in the weeks to come. And so I'll be working away on my books, and you guys can tweet me at Win Kelly, Kelly, Charles, Charles, and then you guys can give me feedback on the podcast. And of course, yes, we're on Spotify, and I have some other huge news which I can't review yet. Actually, 2 pieces of huge news which I can't say yet, but I will be able to soon. So keep an eye out for that, and also keep an eye out for me saying something about a homework assignment that I kind of have to do on the compassionate side and promote an event that's actually not happening. Don't ask why I have to promote a homework assignment, but it's part of my final grade for my first semester in journalism school, but that's okay. But keep an eye out for those announcements, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This podcast has been sponsored by Grace by Grit. Grace by Grit is a clothing line out of California, and they're giving you 20% off when you type in the code EXO Butterflies. And yeah, just support me and this podcast throughout the holiday season, and let's just have compassion. Thanks to you guys.
Thank you, Wynn, and thanks to all your listeners.